It's another week of trying to stay alive in our survivor pools.
Survivor, man, that's like the beer bong of the contest.
We got knocked out of Survivor in week 1.
I think it's in my rules of Survivor. I think no Jaguars.
Every week, you can be done.
Survive and advance with us right now on BetQL Daily, presented by BetMGM.
Love it. Love it. Week number 2. I hope we're excited about this segment every single week of the season, because that means we're in the running. Because that is the one negative thing as Survivor has blown up, Sam, is that, man, as you get to week 5, 6, 7, as people drop out, they kind of lose interest. It's a mixture of losing interest, and then it's another gut punch. If you're knocked out and for the next couple months you hear people breaking down Survivor, all you do is think about how you lost and what stupid ass mistake you ended up making, right?
It is what it is. Hey, the strong survive. And I thought about coming into this segment and being like, Joe, I really think we should take Jacksonville, but I don't want to tick you off this early in the morning. So let's not have that conversation.
No. Wait, is it a real thought, or you're just going to do that to me every week?
Not at all. Nope.
Okay.
Just to get those hairs on the side of your arm standing up.
Nope. Yeah, bad memories there. Okay. We were lucky enough to have George reveal one of his 2 Survivor plays on the show. I don't know how I feel now about the Texans as far as that goes. We'll get to them coming up. All right, let's just talk about the Ravens first. Let's get this out of the way. Okay, Ravens, they're the biggest favorite on the board. They're going to be the chalk. Curious how popular they end up being. If you're in the circa with those Thanksgiving and Christmas rules, they do play on Christmas, but it's against Houston. So if you have 2 healthy quarterbacks, are you going to even use them against CJ Stroud in Houston? Probably not. So I don't know if people are too worried about that. But Houston, I feel like if there's a clear-cut chalk, we should avoid them. We should especially avoid them if we can come up with a matchup, if we can come up with a specific reason not to be on that game. Are you avoiding Baltimore totally?
I am, because we are in the circa contest and we need every team possible on Christmas. There's only 4 this year. Baltimore, Houston, you mentioned, and then Kansas City and Pittsburgh. Ideally, I would like to have Kansas City on the table and both of Baltimore, Houston. So you could see at that point, I mean, what happens if Lamar Jackson's hurt? I know it's, everybody wants to say, well, let's save this team for Christmas. You want to save as many teams as possible. If you go into Christmas with one team, you have to take that team. There's no other way around it. So right. I would like to keep Baltimore and Houston for that matchup. What if CJ Stroud is hurt? And who is it? Davis Mills is the backup? And it's a different team. It's a different offense. So I'm going to try and keep 3 of those 4. I want to go into Christmas, if I'm still alive, God willing, with Baltimore, Houston, and Kansas City. So I've got options there. So I'm not going to try to take any of those 3 teams for a while. And if I'm still around at Christmas, that'd be great. My number 1 right now on the board, and I'm texting with Matt Leiden, who's my partner in Survivor. I texted him Detroit and Arizona. Those are the 2. Well, I gave you my number 1, Detroit, my number 2, Arizona.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think so. How many times are you going to use Arizona in Survivor? The Rams right now are a problem. And the only reason that Arizona isn't the bigger favorite is because A, it's Arizona, and B, it's the Rams. People like to bet the Rams. People are in love with this team. How many guests did we have on the last 2 weeks? Oh, the Rams are a sleeper. The Rams this, the Rams that. Puka Nacua, Stafford, Kupp. That team is one more injury away from being 6-11. They are. I mean, they really are. So Arizona being a 1-point favorite right now. I know that the mathematical people are going to tell you can't take Arizona. The percentages are bad. Okay, you take Baltimore then and burn a Christmas play. Or you take the Chargers and watch the Chargers lose to Carolina, because the NFL is unpredictable. That's why I'm taking Detroit number 1 and Arizona 2. I imagine I'm going to get some pushback from Matt on Arizona. But as we lay things out, another team that's very popular this week is Dallas. You probably want Dallas on Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving, you got Chicago, Dallas, Detroit, Green Bay, Miami, and the New York Giants. You can't be burning the Dallases and the Baltimores and the Kansas Cities early in the game because you need them on holidays.
Man, that's a good look. It's an interesting look. I wanted to clarify what you said about Christmas. I believe that the Thursday, December 26th game is also part of that Christmas. So I think you have 6 options. That's a Seattle-Chicago one. We can double check. We can double check on that.
Cross them off.
Well,
Whatever.
I think it's interesting because, you never know. Like, what if Geno Smith is hurt? Chicago plays on Thanksgiving and Christmas. So since we don't know what's going to happen, I actually think I want to save Chicago. I don't know that I'll use them, but to have a team that's going to play both, at least it's an option, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, just want to clarify that. On the Ravens front, with you, eliminated. And it's not about what happened last week. The one matchup that scares me, okay, when we did a Ravens preview all offseason, we talked about that O-line and all those new parts there. Not saying they look great in week 1. What's the one thing you trust on the Raiders? Max Crosby in that pass rush. Like, maybe he can cause some havoc. He had a bunch of pressures week 1, couple quarterback knockdowns, a hurry. So maybe that's something worth considering with the Raiders.
Week 1's over. We took our victory lap. You actually sent me a note last week that you agreed you were on Seattle and Tampa as we were on Seattle and Tampa. And I love going against those rookie quarterbacks early. But week 1 is over. We need to turn the page, wink, wink, to week number 2. I know we got a couple days to figure this out here, George, but do you have like a list of maybe your top 2 or 3 angles so far?
Yeah, well, I have 2 entries. So, I'm on your show, so I'll give everyone one of my picks. Even though some people are going to copy me, it may hurt, but hey, you guys are having me on your show. It's very nice. So, let me give you my thought process. I have 1 pick picked out, 1 I don't know. I'm going to be rooting against the Bears tonight. One of my picks will be Houston for 2 reasons. Yeah, this is a good team. They're at home Sunday night. This Caleb Williams did not look good on Sunday. Number 3, when you make a survivor pick, you have to look at the entire team's schedule. Now, when people are done listening to this, they'll go home or they'll look on their computer in half an hour. Look at Houston's future schedule. Look at their home games. There's no easy games. You got to pick a team at some. Houston is locked in for all the 3 reasons I gave you. In the other pick, I literally have no idea.
Yep. It's a tough week. So let me follow up. With Cincinnati last week, all of us, we're coming up with legitimate reasons to not go with the Bengals. The chalk is going to be heavier, I think, on the Ravens than we saw the Bengals last week. Are you going to stay away from the Ravens? I'm not asking if that's your other pick. Are they off your card because the likelihood is that they might be 50%?
100%. That's a great question. I think they'll be, like you said, I think they'll be 40%. And you know what? It's the weird thing about the survivor. Just imagine, take an extreme example. Let's say every single person took Baltimore, then you would want to be the one guy that takes the Raiders. If they win, you win the survivor. If they hit the 25% shot. So the weird thing about survivor is sometimes you have to do the exact opposite of what everyone else is thinking.
It's like I'm considering half the damn board. Just like last week. That was her reaction when we said Titans in Survivor against the Bears. Sam, she
Which
doesn't
shoulda
like
won.
your picks.
And I was
Shoulda
on
won.
the Titans, and it should have won. I'm not discrediting that. But here's what I like. This is survive in advance, right? But we're actually trying to win this whole thing. I mean, is that not what we're trying to do? Or like I wanted to do last year, you mentioned the Kelly and Murray podcast. I told John Murray before Thanksgiving, I said, our entry's worth 25 grand. We should consider selling it. And he said, no, it's not worth 25 grand. And then we lost with the Packers. We lost with the Lions against the Packers on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing this week. That's what I'm doing this week.
There's already stuff in the marketplace.
I'm using Detroit this week because they always ruin Thanksgiving. They've ruined Thanksgiving since I've been alive. So I have no issue burning them today. We have to put our picks in basically by Friday, but I'll probably we have 2 entries. I'll probably do Lions in 1. I was pushing for Cardinals in 2, but my partner wants to go Lions and Jets. But as you know, Kelly, the more people in your Survivor entry, the harder it is to get there.
Yeah, I have one partner in 7 different entries, and that's I could not imagine. We have a group of 4 of us doing the pick 5 ATS, and last week I wanted to kill them by Saturday morning when I was the only one who contributed the picks. Like it was like, hello, you guys, we need to submit this. We have an hour, and trying to get everybody to send in it's too much. Partners, while I love most of my friends most of the time, makes it very difficult, especially when it comes to, I like this team, you like the opposite. You mentioned the Jets this week. I like the Titans. I can't believe you're considering the Jets for Survivor.
Titans and the points. Okay. I mean, it also makes it even more difficult. Are you doing the circus style? Are you doing splash where, in mine, I'm sure in yours too, you've got a couple weeks where you have double pick weeks. What are those double pick weeks? Which teams have easy matchups? Who's facing Carolina in those double pick weeks? So yeah, it is certainly challenging. And this week, the chalk is going to be the Ravens. Is it going to be as high as the Bengals? I think so. I think it might be a little bit higher than the Bengals last week.
No, I have a question about that, Joe. I really do,
Yeah.
because you kind of have to wonder if everybody who took the Bengals last week were the team that was like, just get to week 2, right? That was the safe play in their mind. I understand the Ravens are the safe play. I don't want to use the Ravens at this point. So of all those people that used the Bengals, just went, just straight and narrow. Now the people that are remaining are the people that didn't use the Bengals. Don't you kind of wonder that all these zigzaggers might take the Texans or the Eagles or another big chalk instead?
Yeah. And there are so many 6.5 point spreads, 5.5 to 6.5. Like there are a lot of different options. I don't know that I love any of them, but the people that avoided the Bengals are feeling good about themselves. They're like, seeing my strategy works. I avoided the chalk. I'm going to avoid the chalk again. Right. I think that's how most will think. But in the end, just because of these matchups, like the Lions playing a holiday, the Texans playing a holiday, the Cowboys playing a holiday, Cowboys against the Giants, like you kind of got to save that one. So do the Ravens, by the way, but that's against the Texans, so you don't know if you're going to use them. I still think they're going to be most popular because in all these other heavy favorites, you can poke holes in them. That's how I'm viewing it, at least.
And then one more text I got, and we appreciate our boys texting us during the show. Shay and Irving, longtime friend of the show and of us, you are insane about Arizona.
Yeah, I've got my concerns. I'm a little worried because I watched that Bills game closely, and their defense is god awful. It's just so bad. And I'm curious to see what Josh Allen looks like, and it's when he's not playing the Arizona Cardinals defense. They still can't stop the run. That's my big concern for you. That you've got Sean McVay. I know no Puka, and I know the offensive line. We'll talk about it. They're getting a little bit healthier. It looks like, I think it's going to be mostly on the right side where they have the injuries. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from, ATS. But Survivor-wise, whoo, brass one's there.
What about Jets? What about Matt saying Jets, countering back with New York Jets?
I didn't consider them. I wrote down a handful of teams, and I did not consider them for some reason. I think I want to see it before I totally believe it. I'll probably bet the Jets, but for Survivor, I want to see it before I'm all in.